Great to have you here, Rowan.
Great, thanks. Good to be here, Hari.
All right, let's start with why did Origina decide to announce this extension of its software maintenance program now to IBM Z mainframe offering?
I think in simple, I think the timing is right. If I look back on our journey, obviously the main goal was to demonstrate credibility and perfect the service offering on Password Advantage. We started with a core service back in 2015, which has very much evolved as we understood more about customers, what the real pain points, what the real challenges were, what kind of support they wanted. And that's evolved into more a consultative kind of offering today. We also picked up the gaps we have around from a security perspective. We didn't really have a good story around that. That took us a bit of time. It's a very hard thing to do when you can't modify the source code. How do you address these vulnerabilities from customers? We had to go on that learning cycle, and we dug deep and developed a really strong security services team now. And we've shown in terms of how we can do one better than IBM, and it's getting away from that that notion that there's that kind of magic silver bullet that addresses these vulnerabilities. It just doesn't exist. But any of the customers that have moved forward, we've been able to provide a much better sense of confidence. So I think, in simple terms, the timing is right. And more importantly, the demand is there. So we've seen the impact of, the IBM layoffs, the expertise, we were laughing about this today, where IBM, we're talking about these expertise as dino babies, right? Well, we love dino babies, right? But, we have that expertise now. Customers are beginning to see the impact of that. They're really nervous about not having that expertise available. And, these mainframes are going nowhere. People think about it being killed off. They're going to be around a long time. So, being able to bring that to bear for customers in a consultative fashion, that's what they're looking for.
So the timing is right, not only from an Origina perspective, but the customer demand perspective. And in a way, customers are pulling Origina to support the Z mainframe systems.
And believe it or not, so the reason we started with the mainframe service first is because one of our customers, our Password Advantage customers, was pushing us hard on us. Now we turned them away in the early years, only because we were on that journey to, the duty of care to get the security services developed. But the time was right once we finished that. If the demand is there, particularly for those customers where they've seen the difference in the value between being with IBM. And this comes back to always, even a personal mission I had. How can we show that, being with a third-party support maintenance provider and that experience and the support, that can actually add more value than what you get with a vendor. That's a very hard thing to do, but we've been able to deliver on that brief.
And you spoke about that Password Advantage customer. Can Password Advantage customers, Origina's Password Advantage customers, expect the same level of service with the Z program as well?
100%. We put a lot of effort into, there are differences naturally from distributed and from mainframe, but we worked hard to make sure that we replicate the service offering. So all that lovely stuff we've done around perfecting the service, the value of it, and bringing that forward over from a mainframe perspective, we worked really hard on that.
So Rowan, who's a typical IBM customer? What state of environment do they need to be in to be considered a good fit for Origina's Z mainframe software maintenance offering?
So unfortunately, there's no binary yes/no perfect customer. I think it's where the scenario has to be right. So we engage with every customer to understand about their journey, where they are, what are their requirements. I think there's a couple of scenarios. So maybe unlike with Password Advantage, when you acquire these software products, and I'm talking about the one-time charge perpetual licenses, you don't automatically get support. So we've had some customers where they purchased those, never took out software maintenance, and then maybe 5-10 years down the line, they now need that skills and expertise, because maybe there's changes in dynamics of the business, okay? But to go back under support with IBM, you've got to pay a reinstatement charge for every year you haven't put it in place, okay? So so cost is a big thing for a lot of our organizations, particularly in this climate where there's, it's the competitive advantage. I guess mainframe is different than distributed naturally because it's a steadier environment. The rate of transformation and change is much slower. And I think for a lot of our customers, they're still running those decades-old COBOL, Fortran applications. It's the environmental around that, which connects and interfaces with distributed systems that does change. So I think when you have a stable environment, you're not on that upgrade escalator as fast. They're happy with the versions they have. and they just need the support and expertise.
Great. And what challenges, if any, do you expect to have in supporting the Z mainframe offering?
So good question. I mean, and again, as we were exploring, so the first thing I'll say is we didn't pick up when engaging with a lot of customers that the security piece that we've developed was going to be as much of a concern, but that's okay because we've developed a service offering and it does overlay across mainframe as well to help sure customers are protected. I think the biggest challenge, and this comes back to one of the conditions that needs to be right, is more around the interoperability piece. So you look at you look at a distributed environment. Okay, you typically have one application on a database on that single system, right? And you've got hundreds, thousands of those within the infrastructure. In mainframe, it's not uncommon to see hundreds of applications on the one operating system instance. So when you have an environment like that, it's the interoperability piece. And what I mean by that is you could have some perpetually licensed products. So a customer might say, okay, we want to move DB2 to Origina, but ZOS, the operating system, there's no OTC. That's a monthly license charge. That's a subscription. They'll keep that with IBM. They'll continue to be entitled to newer fixes and patches. And there's other, middleware and applications that customers will be on that MLC program as well. So when you have that kind of dynamics to that environment, and maybe down the line they look to upgrade those products, we need to make sure it's going to coexist with the OTC products, the older versions. Now, in one sense, that's the bigger challenge. But mainframe customers over the years, and their technical teams will testify that that's kind of standard business practice anyway. That's BAU, whereas we're familiar with running these older versions, and we go through those interoperability programs to make sure that they work because, and in one sense, mainframes were designed for compatibility. So that's why it's there. So we're not teaching customers to do anything new, but I think coming back to your question about a challenge, I think we just need to make sure that, understanding more about what our customer's trying to do, so we can advise the customer to watch out for these and guide them in the right direction.
Sure. And final thoughts, Rowan, for IBM customers who have Z mainframe in place today, and why you believe they should look towards Origina as a choice for their software maintenance program.
Well, there's one key word you just said there, and that's choice.
Choice.
So, and I think what we've seen over the last number of years, we've had a very successful journey. We've got an impressive portfolio of customers. We're in 18 different countries now. Sounds great, but still a lot of people don't know what it is we do, right? And even for Password Advantage, they don't know it's an option. And we see that every day. So I think the key message is to be aware there's a choice, okay? You have an option, you can stay with the vendor, but explore the Origina offer. And man, if you're looking for cost savings, if I look about, one of our team mentioned today, what is it we sell? We sell gold, right? And we talk about gold being our IBM expertise. And these are not guys out of college, right? I mean, these are seasoned professionals. Many of them worked with IBM. They were part of those layoff programs. And they were the true blue IBMers. And they are focused on one thing. The Dino Baby, that you call it. But they're focused on one thing. And it's about, helping customers unlock the potential of their software products and, helping them as part of the value.
And maximize the life and value of their current investment, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Rowan, for your time today, and hope that was a good introduction to Origina Z mainframe support offering. Stay tuned. We'll be back more.
Sure.